Hello friends and neighbors, and welcome to the bedroom of my adolescence. Yeah, that's Twilight and New Moon on my bookshelf back there. I'm not proud.
So what am I doing?
Come on! Really Thanks for joining me!
What are you filming for?
So let's talk about something that I do fairly regularly. Let's talk about criticism. Criticism of both books and movies, which means... So a few days ago on Twitter, Maureen Johnson was tweeting something about a rumor surrounding something called a YA Mafia. Basically, this was a collection of YA novelists who would help each other out and promote each other's books and so on, but if you crossed them, they would make sure that you never worked with another publisher again. This rather ludicrous idea was refuted in blogs by YA novelists Holly Black and Justine Larbelester, as well as Maureen Johnson in her Twitter account, but it did raise a particular debate surrounding the reviewing of books and movies, and specifically giving bad reviews to books and movies. There's really no reason for me to sit with my legs up on the bed. I can actually sit like a normal person. Now, I have not given a lot of negative reviews, mostly because most of the reviews I've given have been for my favorite books, so you would expect them to be pretty good. But I think there is a misconception that reviews have to be objective, that they have to be looked at through a sort of emotionless, objective lens, like you would use for writing a scholarly paper, for example. And I'll admit, I used to kind of think this way too. That is until I saw a clip of Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert talking about criticism. For those of you that don't know, Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert were considered two of the greatest film critics of all time, and they had their own show for many, many years. They had a lot of great things to say about film criticism, which of course translates over to book criticism, or television show criticism, or Apple product criticism, any kind of criticism you want to name. If you want to see the entire video, I'll link it in the doobly dangly shooply under Vunder Chamber of Secrets description thing. I couldn't decide what to call it. But there are 2 points that I want to highlight in this particular video. The first is basically the idea that any criticism that you're giving, whether it's for a book or a movie or a television show or whatever, any criticism, when it's boiled all the way down, is your opinion. That's all my reviews are. If I think something is good or I think something is bad, it's just my opinion, and it might not be shared by everybody. In fact, coming soon on BandGeek 8408 is my Books vs. Movies review of The Little Mermaid, and as some of you already know, I don't like Disney's version of The Little Mermaid. The reasons why will be explained in the Books vs. Movies review, but of course a lot of people disagree with me on this point. But all the conclusions that I come to on books and movies are just my opinions, and when Roger Ebert does a review of a movie, it's his opinion of the movie. So what separates what I do from what Roger Ebert does? Well, Roger Ebert has been doing it for much longer. He has a broader knowledge of film history and what constitutes a good film, and so he's able to come to a better informed opinion about a movie than I am. But still, when you boil everything down, it still comes down to whether or not Roger Ebert liked the movie or didn't like the movie. But then we get into the second point that I want to highlight, which is that Roger Ebert and I both are able to explain why we like something or why we don't like something. That's why I started the favorite books reviews in the first place. I wanted to look at these books that I said, wow, these are really, really good books, and find out why I like them so much. That's also why I started the What's All the Fuss About reviews. I wanted to look at these movies that all these critics have said, these are the best of the best, and find out why. I mean, when it comes right down to it, what constitutes a good movie or a good book? It's something that a whole bunch of people like. I mean, all these people came to the consensus that Citizen Kane was the greatest movie ever made, but somebody could watch it and hate it. But that person who hates Citizen Kane is not going to have any credibility if he can't explain why he hates Citizen Kane in an articulate manner. And he's also not going to have any credibility if he can't look at Citizen Kane and figure out why so many people like it, even if he personally doesn't. Going back to The Little Mermaid, I don't like The Little Mermaid, but I recognize that a lot of people do, and I can see why. I can watch Little Mermaid and I can see, okay, yeah, I can see why people like this movie. I just don't happen to. And even re-watching it for the Books vs. Movies review, I was able to get some enjoyability out of the movie. I still don't like it, but I enjoyed portions of it. I'm still struggling a little bit with Twilight on this, but I'm working on it. So of course I'm very curious to find out what you think, especially those of you that do reviews on blogs or vlogs or in any kind of format. What do you think constitutes criticism? How much of it do you think is opinion-based, and how much of it do you think is objectivity? Leave a comment below, I look forward to reading them, and I will see you next time. Speaking of criticism and reviews, I have a website now. Yeah, I have a website where I am putting all of my book reviews and movie reviews and books versus movies reviews and all of those sorts of things. It's mostly text-based, but it does have some video. You can find it at italkstuff.com. And as long as I'm plugging myself, I have a Twitter account, I have a Daily Booth account, and I have a VU account where you can go and ask me questions. Also, just in case you hadn't heard, VLOGDRIVER is active again. Yes, I am posting driving videos again. You can find out the new direction that the channel is taking by going to the link for the YouTube account or the link to the Tumblr account, which I have just created. Don't you just love shameless self-promotion? I do.